This episode of Trudge Report is brought to you by Accent Garage Doors. Operating in Palm Beach County, the Treasure Coast, and Brevard County, Florida, Accent Garage Doors is your most trusted and reliable source for all things garage doors. Successfully in business now for almost 20 years, Accent Garage Doors gives you the best quality materials and appliances, along with reliability, dedication, and professionalism at the best possible price. Plus, the owner is handsome and has the best Irish accent of anyone in all the land. Members of Trudge Report have personally used his services and give Accent Garage Doors 2 thumbs up and a 5-star review. We wouldn't go anywhere else for our garage door needs, and neither should you. Accent Garage Doors is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and will exceed all of your garage door needs. You can visit their website at www.accentgaragefl.com or call 772-337-7733 and ask for John. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to another episode of Trudge Report. This is a recovery-based podcast, but don't worry, if you're not sober or you're not ready to be sober, we talk about plenty of other things, including sports, trending topics, and a good bit of nonsense. My name is Sean and I am your host. I'm joined by my good friends and fellow trudgers, Bill, Corey, and Greg. Please remember to listen on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Our videos will still be posted each week so you can watch episodes on YouTube and Facebook. But as always, please be sure to download on your listening platforms. Remember to like and subscribe on all social media outlets with the handle at Trudge Report Pod. We are brought to you by Stella Mix Podcast Management and our wonderful producer and editor, Miss Janine Stella. Gentlemen, happy Monday. Good evening. We're back. The boys are back.
Woo.
What's up? Let's start with Bill. Bill, we missed you last week. How are you tonight, Bill?
I'll double up. I'm doing good. Just got back from Siesta Key.
Ooh,
Took my
the
daughter
reality
out
show?
there. No,
You're a star on
Have
the
some
reality
couth.
show? Oh.
Have some couth. We're talking about the most beautiful sunsets in all of Florida. Took my
On
daughter
Bravo?
there. Met another friend's daughter there who's same age as mine. And them two were like 2 peas in a pod the whole time. So that was fun. Also, I have retired my Stanley. I'm bringing a new trend to America.
Uh-oh.
Original cups, clear, regular glass cups. We're going back to the well, boys. Also,
Wait, hold
Steelers.
that up again. Hold that up again.
It won't show it that one.
It
has
literally
yellow
is
tint.
just okay. It literally is just a glass cup.
It's an old women's cup.
Nice.
It's delicious.
You know what we do need to bring back those red plastic cups. You remember for like Pizza Hut circa like 94?
The
Red
what was
Solo
it?
cup. I
Those
don't
are
play
good.
beer pong anymore, Greg.
No, not Red Solo. The red plastic
Oh, the
cups
red.
that you get like at a restaurant when you went like
The
you know
big
what I'm-
boy.
Oh
boys.
yeah,
I
those
don't
are good.
remember.
yeah
You didn't have a childhood then, Sean, if you don't
Classic.
remember that.
I don't remember, dude. You're talking about like
man.
classic.
the cafeteria cups, like that.
if you
that
went to
Pizza
weird
Hut.
any
hard
if you
plastic.
went
Yeah.
to any
Yeah,
Pizza
okay.
Hut,
All right.
any
Shaved
Pizza Hut
ice
in
in
the
there.
90s.
They also could be
Oof.
brown or
Come on.
like a tannish color, not always red, right?
Maybe in your part of Virginia.
They
Like
could
it-
be
yeah.
Depending on how
okay.
many times they went
You're
through.
right.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. They're indestructible. I gotcha. I know what you're
Yes, you cannot break them.
saying. Cafeteria cups, basically. Like
Pretty much.
you go to like Piccadilly's, Cafe, Piccadilly's cafeteria, right? You guys know Piccadilly's, right?
Yes.
No?
Yes.
That's a Red Bull comment. I don't know that one.
Guys,
Well, yeah,
I'm-
all's well here.
I'm drinking a Red Bull. So I went to a Halloween party. We go to our friend's house every year for Halloween, and they got a little money, I think, because they always have like Celsius and seltzers and Red Bull and like the hot, like they probably spend hundreds of dollars just on random drinks in the coolers. You know, meanwhile, I'm still getting like Czech and RC Cola for all you knuckleheads when you come over for parties. So I stashed up. I got like 3 Celsius, a few seltzers, and I got this sugar-free Red Bull because the regular ones just have way too much sugar. I know fake sugar is not that good for you, and I popped it open tonight because I put the girls
this
to
whole
bed.
time, I thought you just didn't drink Red Bull because you're a principled man, but it's actually because you're just
No.
too cheap to buy one.
Well, that's also true too, but they're not great for you. I know that. So I put the girls to bed tonight, and I'm like, oh, it's 8:30. College basketball's back on. I'm just gonna sit on the couch for a minute and like watch a little bit of college basketball. I fall asleep and I like shoot up at like 8:50. I'm like, oh my God, podcast. And I had to get all my stuff set up and I was tired and I was groggy. So I think
For
I'm good now.
reference, Sean, I don't drink Red Bull after like literal noon. Okay. And I can handle a lot of caffeine. Also, this is right under or parallel to you on the roulette wheel for the people out there. We're concerned about Sean tomorrow. We're gonna have to check in on him because I don't think this man's gonna sleep tonight.
Well, I've only had like, I don't even think I've drinking half of it, and I'm all jacked up already.
He's
slurring your words.
Boys, he can't even get his words right.
So,
oh boy,
woo!
Just chug that puppy down.
No, I can't do that, dude. That might not be good. Is it hot?
Everyone, stay tuned for this. This is gonna get good.
No, I'll settle in. But yeah, it was free. I was like, you know what? Let me get one of these. Let me get one of them. So I'm fine. Other than that, Greg, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Yeah, it's been a quiet week comparative to Bill and Corey. They both took what sounds to be like pretty sweet trips. Bill, how was the sand out there? Was it that baby powder on your feet or what?
I can compare it to, Greg, is snow, the crunch.
Yeah.
And some guy said I look like Dave Portnoy. I found that insulting.
I think you look more like Orange Cassidy myself.
Yes,
but,
you are Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, that's a respectable man there.
Yeah,
God, it's uncanny.
Dave Portnoy.
It really is uncanny.
I don't know who.
Yeah,
Orange
Siesta.
He's a wrestler.
Yeah, he's a wrestler.
Yeah,
I'm gonna look this guy up.
Yeah, you got to.
It's spitting image of Bill DeLuca. But yeah, I went to Siesta Key. I don't know. It's
God,
been like 15 years ago. Oh, Orange Cassidy. Yeah.
He even has aviators.
I look like Val Venus in my own mind, but
you got a denim jacket and some aviators somewhere.
Ooh,
next year for Halloween, dude.
That's it. Dude. It's a minimal costume, dude. Yes.
You know Bill has a denim jacket somewhere.
Fucking right.
You know it.
Pittsburgh.
But
yeah, Greg. The sand is apparently imported. It's like quartz laced sand.
Yeah. It is supposed to be some of the finest sand in the world. I know when I went there, like I said, it's been.
Are you guys being sarcastic?
10, 15
it repels
years.
the heat.
No, I swear to God, it's.
Wait. They import the sand?
It repels the heat.
That's so much.
I don't know exactly how the sand got there, but all I know is when
imported.
I don't know if I'd ever say this about anything else, but it is literally a pleasure to walk on this sand. Like that's how good it feels. Like you're walking through baby powder. It's wild, dude.
He ain't lying.
And it doesn't stick to you. You know, like how you go to the beach on the Atlantic side, or probably literally
that's the worst part of sand.
And the sand sticks all over you. This
falls
sand
right off.
Yeah.
Can you snort
crazy.
it?
Probably
after Red Bull, man.
That's what we want to know. The people want to know. Corey, you're with me, right?
Snorting sand?
Yeah, let's do it.
I'd rather inject it. For sure.
Corey was sniffing Ajax in the Conjuring house.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, quiet weekend for me. Nice, chill, laid back weekend. We've got coming up. My lady and I will be going to an esteemed play titled "The Empire Strips Back," which will be a Star Wars burlesque show.
Nice.
I'm pumped about it, dude.
I was gonna make a Thunder from Down Under joke, but like you really kind of are though.
So the lightsabers,
yeah.
Lightsabers.
Well, I don't know what they're gonna do with the lightsabers, but I will keep you all informed.
Wow.
No video or photography allowed in this venue. I've already.
I see your Schwartz is as big as mine.
Yes, indeed.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
So, yeah, indeed.
Corey, you made it back, bud.
Hey.
We were worried about you.
Oh man, dude, I've made that drive too many times.
That's a long drive. How many hours is it?
Like 18 hours.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Ours is like 15 to PA, 15 and a half. And do you and Gabby switch off at least?
Yeah.
Good. All right. Thank God. Is Noah driving yet?
He wants to. He tries to jack the car every now and again.
He'd be all right.
No, it was a good trip though. It was definitely eventful. I mean, we did everything we pretty much wanted to do. I didn't make it to the Conjuring house though. I will say that.
Oh, I saw
Not for
pictures.
any.
Was that a different house?
That was
I
not
saw
the Conjuring
Gab-
house.
Oh no.
Yeah. Not for any other reason, but you know how when you're just on a trip and it's just like I'm ready to get from point A to point B and not add
Yeah.
one. That's how I
Yes.
felt. I was just like, I'm not even going in. I'm not going.
Yeah.
So, but
Where is it again? It's New York.
the
Is it
Conjuring
New York
house
State
is in
or Connecticut,
no, it's Rhode Island technically.
Rhode Island. Okay.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to get anywhere near that place, dude.
I don't want
Well,
to go
yeah,
to New
there's
England
that
in
too.
general.
New England.
Maine
Actually-
is awesome in the summer.
No, to be honest, it was freaking beautiful. The drive.
No, I know it is.
Oh my god, dude, I miss fall so much. I won't even go down that whole rabbit hole. I do miss it though. It sucks having summer all the time here. I'm just gonna be honest.
Dude, we don't
But-
have summer all the time. It's like low 80s, bro. It's beautiful.
Yeah, so it's spring now.
It
Great.
sucks.
Well, we get 2. Hey, we get 2 weeks. Come on, we get
It's
2
fun-
solid weeks
if
in
you-
like
If
end
Greg
of
looks
January.
if Greg looks out his window in the morning tomorrow, I bet it's just a
Oh, dude,
freaking
it's-
wonderland of orange and reds and
It's a
For like a week, dude.
yeah.
it's a cornucopia of delights for your eyes.
It is, but
But
Corey, we also get like low 70s when it's 8 feet of snow and Greg's shoveling his driveway as well.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm just
but-
saying there is a give and take.
yes, there is. I would love to have like 1 or 2 snows a year. If I can live in a part of the country that's like that, I would love that.
South Carolina. Well,
Yeah.
You're good.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm telling you what, boys, it's been in the 70s and almost 80s here for a week straight. I don't know if we're getting
It'll change.
snow this.
That means it's going to be like a
But we'll
fucking
see.
blizzard for like 3 months straight.
So wait, so global warming is real.
We don't
Here
know.
we go.
No, I'm just kidding.
Anyway. Anyway, guys. So I'll just tell you guys, my trip to Salem was really cool, and we only stayed about like 24 hours. Wait a minute. Yeah, about 24 hours. We were in Salem and had some good food and whatnot, and it was a good time. I threw the pictures in the chat if anybody gives a shit.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
if
do.
anybody cares.
Janine said email them because I don't think they're all.
I
I can only
responded.
see I can only see like 1 or 2, but they
That's
look
fine.
cool
They're-
from what
they're-
I can see.
Messing
That's
with the
fine.
bandwidth.
We hit up we we hit up the Hocus Pocus locations, which was cool.
Did you
From the
guys
movie?
intentionally match shirts?
From the movie, that's
we,
cool.
We did not.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're just on that wavelength.
That's
And
cute.
so we'll throw the pictures up on the video for anybody watching on YouTube. But what I really want to tell you guys right now is we took this tour at like 8:00 at night, and it was a walking tour. It was one of their ghost tours. So they take you to all the like the allegedly haunted spots in Salem or whatever. It's all like within a square mile. So number one. And if our listeners don't know who I'm talking about, they won't be able to visualize it, but you guys will. We just had a friend pass away a few weeks ago. We're all aware. Our freaking tour guide was him. Like, it was the weirdest shit. He was fun. He had his pretty much the same sense of humor, dialed down a little bit because we know that sense of humor was over the top. So,
Yeah.
which would not be appropriate for a tour guide to display, but it was there though. Like the humor was there. He looked like him, his mannerisms and everything. It was hilarious. First thing I said to Gabby was like, "Oh my God, was this guy born 3 weeks ago?" Because I literally buy into reincarnation. But so that was kind of odd, but a delight nonetheless. And he was like, we were at this one spot, and this car drives past us. We're like a group of 30. This car drives past us and yells something out the window. I don't know, because we're near Boston and they're assholes. Who knows? And this tour guide just yells back at him, "Shut up!" in like this, like spitting image of Adam Sandler almost. It was hilarious. And then what was not so funny is, so we get to the area where the old Salem jail used to sit. where they had, some of the accused witches locked up, waiting trial. And he's going through his whole thing. And first thing he says is, I can't use my microphone here because the guy in this apartment next to us, he wants to kill me. Like, because we come here 12 times a day. He wants to kill me. You would think giving him 274 free history lessons, a month would do him some good, but no. So whatever. He goes into his whole thing. What happens then is there's a couple next to me to my left. This girl starts having a seizure. Like,
no way.
I swear to God, has a seizure. Husband holds her up, and it's not funny, but the way it unfolded, they're okay. She's okay.
Good.
But the way it unfolded, so Boston Josh, as we're referring to him, the tour guide, starts to notice what's happening, and all of a sudden he's like, "Hey, you need some help?" And the husband's like, "Yes, please." And he leans in and he goes, "You want an ambo?" He doesn't even say ambulance. It was weird. so anyway, they lay her down, and some people are attending to her or whatever. She ends up coming to. She's like, everybody's asking her "Are you epileptic? What's going?" And she's like, "No, I think I just got hot." And I'm thinking you did not just get hot. I just watched what happened.
That's called possession.
Yeah, exactly. So you're telling me you're not epileptic, not diabetic, checking all the boxes. No, you were possessed just now, right next to me, lady. and I can't prove it. But so anyway, the ambo comes, and they check her out. She wants nothing to do with it, and they ended up leaving. She walked off on her own. So prayers to her. But it was quite
we
the
need
experience.
to find that woman.
You ever seen that? There's a Denzel Washington movie called The Fallen with John Goodman.
Oh yeah, that's a goodie.
That's
yeah.
exactly Castiel. That's exactly what just happened.
It was
just
wild.
So you know, just jumping
very
from
wild.
person
So
to
basically,
person.
this area has a
Picking her like
massive
a
heroin
puppet, bro.
problem.
Well, so they walk away, and I look at Gabby. I'm like, that was fucking weird. She's obviously epileptic,
Crackheads
right?
are giving the tours.
And she's like, no, she's probably an alcoholic. And then she puked on the ground too. So I don't know.
Oh yeah, there you go.
She's just a good old drunk. That's all.
Could be. We don't know. But prayers to her, no matter what she has going on. But it was a good time. I would highly suggest going on that tour if you guys ever go there. But I doubt you'll have the experience I had. So maybe it will. Because that kind of made it. But otherwise,
maybe Boston Josh and his company, maybe they pay someone to do that every time.
Dude,
so
if they do, I'll go again.
Ooh,
I'll go again.
So
that was fun.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time, Corey. We were thinking about you, not too much, but a little bit.
I doubt it. I really doubt it.
No, it was. I thought about it a couple times this weekend. I was like, I hope Corey's doing fine. I hope he's having a good time. He's got no kids. I understand I get what that's like. Get a couple days with the wife, no kids.
It never feels as good as you want it to, though. Do you understand what I'm saying about that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, it's we you want to be away from them.
Yes. Well, not only that, but as men, it's and I'm not even talking about anything sexual. I just mean in general, we have this idea of how it's gonna go, and
she's
on
for
the
sure.
phone for 2 hours, or has a headache or whatever,
But I miss the kids too. It's you spend so much effort to get some time away from them, and then it's God damn.
I miss them after usually about 48 hours is when I'm oh yeah, I'm ready to go home. I'm ready for whatever it is. But hey, all right. So in light of that, Greg has a question for us that he was going to talk about last week, but we wanted to wait for Bill to come back. So he's teased this question multiple times. It has something to do with the whole month segment, or the spooky segment we just did. So go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, so I can't really take a lot of credit for this. I kind of picked a couple ideas from this other podcast that I really enjoy listening to. It's more of a true crime podcast. However, in light of everything we talk about, definitely talk true crime stuff, some mysteries, some serial killers, all the question that I wanted to pose to you guys, and the reason I didn't really talk about it ahead of time is I think it probably provoke a more genuine response if we all just kind of fired in on it. or at least the three of you. But I'm curious to know, do the three of you believe wholeheartedly in good and evil? And part B to that question is, if so, then do you believe that humanity and human nature is inherently good or inherently evil? I pose that to you.
Janine wasted no time responding to that question in the chat.
Yeah.
So
So wait,
go?
is good? Yeah, sure. Is good? Does good and evil exist? Like actual like evil? Is that what you're saying? Like
Correct.
real evil? God, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't have gone. I don't know. I want to hear what you guys think. Just kidding. I'll go in a minute. Good.
All right, I'll go. That's fine. First off, I like the question, Greg. It is thought provoking. At the risk of sounding kind of like trite or just like Pollyanna, yes, I believe that evil does exist. I believe that the power of God or good or love or, anything good, and I'm not trying to be sarcastic, but I believe that does overtake evil. But I do believe that in certain, whatever you want to call it, situations, pockets of life, certain people, that evil definitely does exist. I honestly don't know if I believe that like certain people are completely 100% pure evil. I don't know if I believe that. I think that like it's probably easy to say yes, they are, just based off, if we're thinking about serial killers or Hitler or stuff like that, genocide, maybe it is, but I truly, so the God I believe in, not to say that you guys don't, but like my belief system would be that every single child, every single baby, every single newborn human life is born inherently good. I do not believe that God Almighty, the Father of everything, creates evil and brings evil into this world. That being said, what happens to a kid that turns out to be Charles Manson or the Menendez brother? You know what I mean? Like, and maybe that's not the greatest example because you can like look back at actual trauma that happened in their life. Maybe that's a place to it. But so I don't believe that God creates evil. I do believe that evil exists. I don't believe that any one individual person or persons is 100% purely evil and no good. I believe that, and this is where the saying comes in, really corny saying, is that I believe that there's, a little bit of, at the very least, a little bit of good in everyone, and, maybe even a little bit of bad in everyone. And I don't know if, again, I'm not trying to waffle on the fence there, but I don't believe that God creates evil. I'll just leave it at that.
Sean, you could probably say this better than I can right now, but we're actually in my philosophy class, we're talking about like morality and what makes something morally good and stuff. I should be paying more attention in that, and I'd probably have a sophisticated answer right now. But it's not. It's going fine, but it's not.
Yeah,
going
stop
great.
checking your fantasy team during class, Corey.
Dude. Anyway, fantasy's evil. I'll tell you that. There's no reason I should be 1-7. But Sean, so help me out here. So like we've talked about it before. Like if the thought's good, then the action, or then the, you know what I'm saying? Can
well, Emmett Fox said like that whole thing. Well, that whole thing about like, oh, he meant well, right? Are you talking about that? Like, oh, his heart was in the right place. That
or like an ends to a means type of deal where like the action's not great, but it produces a good result. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like all this stuff can be factored in, kind of. Put it this way. This is an extreme thing that kind of relates to that. I might be more all over the place tonight than I've ever been. When you take things like horrible tragedies like 9/11 and stuff, like, it's not a secret that those people truly believed in what they were doing. It was evil to people like us who were the victims, like America. And it's hard to look at a tragedy like that and say, well, those people were just that's what they truly believe that their God wanted them to do. That was good to them, you know. But that's kind of a fact, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a
Right.
tough conversation to have. But yes, I understand
right.
I
That's what I'm
understand
saying.
what you're saying. They believed in that cause, as terrible as it was, and as evil as it was. They
But-
believed that
But we
their,
see it as evil.
in their belief system, they were doing
And it's hard to say that
know,
anything that
whatever.
kills that many people or kills one person for you know, it's hard to say that that's anything but evil, really.
I also think, like, in that specific situation, and there's historical accounts of this, you know, throughout time, is what resulted from 9/11 was a nation that unified. So,
For
like,
a little while.
but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, that's a fact. Like, people
Yeah,
came
yeah.
together, all different, everything, and yes, it's terrible that it takes a scenario like that. But I think it's hard. I think it's hard to call something pure evil, 100% pure evil, when you get a wonderful like byproduct. I don't even know if that's the right word. It doesn't take away the pain and suffering that people cause people, but
It's definitely a perception thing. But
I think so.
on the surface though, I kind of question myself to like think, like, I believe in a God. And I too believe that God is all powerful and all loving. And I don't even, honestly, like, if we're getting into like beliefs, I've never believed that there was like a hell. I just don't. That's just the way I am. I choose to believe that God would not send a single one of his children to eternal damnation.
That's a good point, because on the note that I said, like, I don't believe God can create evil, right? I think God creates every human being in his beautiful, perfect image, no
Right.
matter what. I also think that whatever happens in a person's life that, quote unquote, makes them evil or do evil things, I also believe that even that person can repent and can be forgiven. And God can forgive, you know what I mean? Like, they can turn, and that's, you know, every one of us humans might say, no, like, that's not true. You know, whatever, that person can't, how can they repent? And we don't forgive them. But like, we wouldn't really truly know what's in that person's heart at, let's say, the time of their death or whatever it is. I believe that God can turn that. Absolutely 100%.
And that's like I'm going to shut up, but that's like a hard pill to swallow when you consider some of the actions that we could throw out there that people do. You know what I mean?
What happens if that's your kid or your wife or something like that? You know, on the other end of that, you know, that's humans. It's a tough pill to swallow. Like you said,
I want to hear from Bill when Greg's done, but I have a quick story that you guys are aware of that I think paints a good picture on this.
Way to mind fuck us, Greg.
It's a good one. Yeah. I like it.
Well, it is. Let's
hear. So what do you got for us? You're awfully quiet over there.
It's probably because
I'm just listening. I was partly thinking about how this got real deep real quick, but I believe it's easier for me to understand the bad part of it than the good. I don't think I can personally really wrap my mind around God's will or intentions on the good side, but I believe in it. I have faith in it. The bad stuff, I personally believe that it's more of like inheriting a spirit of evil, as one would say. But there's a whole lot of perspective. I mean, from the Muslims' perspective of 9/11, they were right.
Right.
From, the guy who shot and killed someone's daughter because he tricked his son or whatever, and I can also say, if a victim's family wanted to put some dude to death because they killed their daughter or something, I wouldn't blame it at all. Sometimes people have to die for that as well.
Right.
Me personally, I would hope I could forgive, because I've seen powerful testimony of people whose kids were killed or wife, where they really go and forgive that person. And you look at the aura of the person doing the forgiving, and it's usually like something you look up to, but that's a hell of a task to ask. But I think it's easier for me to interpret the evil and how that happens than to say, I know we're all innately good, but we somewhere along the lines make some choices that snowball into a whole nother world.
Yep.
I don't know.
No, I think that's accurate. I think, like I said, I I don't know if I believe that we're born evil, but I do believe in evil, and I do believe that, like Bill, to your point, things can happen in a person's life that force us, make us, persuade us to make certain decisions and form certain beliefs that can be inherently evil. Are those people like too far gone that they can't be saved? I also don't think so. I think God can totally save them, but
we're all four people in a bubble of I can speak for me. I've done evil, so and I've redeemed myself.
Right.
So it's easy. But I can understand how like a majority of the population might not see it that way.
Right.
You know, like
especially when you start taking in like other countries and the stuff they've been through,
and
genocides and stuff like that.
Well, what about that and the amount of people who don't have a drastic recovery event or catalyst,
certain
and all they do is
continue
to torture until they're gone. You know what I mean? So I get it.
So Corey, you sparked my memory of some school I had. I took some classes, and when I started getting into my master's program, we took a lot of classes of like indigenous cultures and stuff, and the Rwandan genocide, right? Rwanda, the country in Africa. I'm sure a lot of us have heard of that in historical accounts. But Rwanda had a huge genocide, and the whole like culture of the Rwandan people, and it was partly governmental pushed, like in a good way, but it was like this whole movement, and it's called restorative justice, and that's actually what I have my graduate degree in specifically, and it spans multiple facets of. It's not just this, but one of the things they did was they took it upon themselves as the Rwandan people in the community to have these like community meetings, and they would bring together an ex soldier of the prior regime that was performing these genocides and killing these people. They would bring them instead of putting them in jail for the rest of their life. Now, don't get me wrong, some of them definitely did have to do certain jail sentences, all that, but they would put these people in front of their victims, and they would have like victim offender dialogue, to use the official term, but they would basically, in a nutshell, the very simplistic way they would do it is they would just talk it out, and they would have like mediators, right? And they would kind of prep both sides of it for weeks or whatever, and they'd bring them together, and it was like this whole community thing, and there was major healing done, and they were able to ultimately move past it as a culture and go on with their life. Now they had other problems, but I mean, juxtapose that to this, this Western American, right? Like trial and judge and jury and execute, you know what I mean? Where the victim barely even has a voice, although nowadays that's becoming more and more. Like, you take a terrible, heinous, evil, not just act, but like era in the Rwandan culture, and it happened in other African and other places, and you ultimately, like, a whole community and a whole society forgave, so I don't know, it's hard to say that there's something that is 100% pure evil that can't be brought back or can't be saved when you hear stuff like that, at least for me. Probably Bill. Probably Bill just put something in the chat. There's a guy that you all know. I just heard him tell his story at one of our recovery groups very recently, and older gentleman, been clean and sober a long time, and he's by any means not pure evil, and never was pure evil. He was a sick and suffering, alcoholic and drug addict for many years, but he was driving drunk one night with a young woman in his car in his very early adulthood, and was drunk and pinned his car underneath an 18-wheeler, and the girl died. The one driving with him died, and he basically went to jail, or he was on trial for vehicular manslaughter. And the family of the young girl, ultimately, long story short, right, there's a lot that happened and it took a long time, but ultimately stood up in court and basically said, like, told the judge, we forgive him. We don't want him to go to jail. And now he had been sober leading up to this and like trying to do the right thing for a year or two, however long the trial and the whole case took. But like that in and of itself, that's a family, a mother, a father, a brother, and their daughter was killed by this man's, again, not pure evil, right? It's maybe not the, but that, to Bill's point about like the forgiveness and I mean, that's amazing. You know what I mean? And he's a sober, upstanding member of society, has been for a very, very, very long time, still keeps in touch with that family. So again, I think the power of God, no pun intended on tomorrow's election, but trumps all. So I wasn't trying to be funny. I really wasn't.
That was Red Bull induced.
Yeah. You need to get off this stuff, dude.
It trumps all.
No, I agree though.
I don't.
Good.
Touche.
Anytime we look at but anytime I dive into the rabbit hole of like big picture stuff, I get really freaked out. John, I'm fucking talking here, dude. You need to take your college shit somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like big picture, like it, like grand scheme life stuff. Like, what is this all about? Big picture, like is this like God versus the devil?
Yeah.
Are we waiting for some sort of, not to like get religious,
battle royale?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like
Rapture.
Yeah, that's
like from Supernatural, the TV show, dude. I love that show.
Anyway.
Is that a sitcom?
No, I'm sorry. I'm being serious. I agree with you.
Anyway,
that's a sitcom.
Now I'm not gonna.
So what is it, Corey? What is it?
I don't freaking know. I don't know. I don't. That's what it freaks me out when I think about it.
Well, so to your point earlier, Corey, about like you don't really believe in hell, and I don't agree or disagree with that necessarily, but Emmett Fox talks about, and he specifically talks about like heaven, and heaven is his one of his analogies on heaven is who we are in the physical world and who we are on this life that we're living plays a large role in like the heaven or the hell, if you want to get particular, that we may go to, we may experience in the afterlife. And basically he says, if your physical life, if this life that we're all living is full of resentment and hatred and selfishness, and there's like certain people we don't like because like those are the people and those are the situations, and that's how our heaven or hell is going to be like in the afterlife. So he basically stresses the whole of like forgive and don't be selfish and don't be an asshole, and those people that you have issues and resentments with, clean them up and forgive, and all that, and then you will meet kind of like a water seeks its own level kind of thing on the afterlife version of that, which again, that's a conversation we could go way deeper on, but that's just
but do you grow wings in the afterlife?
Oh, I will.
I grow wings now.
It's a Red Bull joke, guys.
I got it.
He talked. Emmett Fox also talks, and I choose to believe this. I think, and I like it, to be honest.
I love how Corey will make a statement, a factual, like this is how this is, and by the time he gets halfway through it, he's not sure of it anymore.
Because I choose
to believe this. I'm pretty sure. Well, maybe not, but.
Yeah, because I'm thinking on the fly.
I'm dead set sure that green is definitely, maybe it's not green at all.
I'm thinking on the fly. And you know what? You got to doubt yourself, guys. You can't be too sure of yourself. Anyway, he talks about like you make your own hell, like here and now, like you're punished for and by your mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that because I feel like I've created my own hell many times. And I don't think that God would punish me any more than I punish myself. You know what I mean? So I think that's a thing. What the hell are we supposed to talk about tonight?
I think
we were supposed to do comedy sitcoms.
I did fucking research. Thanks, man.
Right. Well, we'll table
I spent like 2 hours looking shit up today.
We'll table that for another.
You're welcome. Okay.
We'll table that for another.
You're welcome.
Why?
Good.
What? Never mind.
I did just as much research as I always do, so I'm pretty pissed myself.
So none.
So zero.
We all know Modern Family is the best, so that's all that matters. But
I don't want to give any clues here.
That's fine. We don't have to give any clues. Good question, Greg. Do you want to wrap that up at all, Greg? You want to say anything else on it?
I mean, you guys summed a lot of it. There's a lot there to unpack for sure, but I certainly do subscribe to the fact. If you would have asked me before I got sober, I would have told you that people are evil as shit, and of course, being the jaded version of myself, but certainly since I've got a new way of living now, and the spiritual growth that I've done, I don't believe that anymore. I certainly believe that everybody is at least born inherently good and in the image of our higher power, right? But it's a tough pill to swallow when we sit here and we talk about it, and we're not even like, obviously we have the dramatic examples of even stuff that's occurring right now, like what's going on in Israel and everything like that, and you can formulate. That's why I don't think that America necessarily has a place in any of that. Not to get too political, but it always, makes me chuckle and maybe even sneer a little bit when, us that live this privileged life over here and sip our Starbucks and drive our fancy cars like to pontificate about what should be happening in places like that where they don't have those kind of luxuries and have to worry about the things that they have to worry about. But I will say that, yes, on both sides of that, there are people that absolutely believe that they are good and they're doing the righteous thing and they're doing what's important to them and their people and everything like that. So it's like, can we sit here and point fingers and say you're evil and you're not, when they're just on two sides of a conflict that's been going on for thousands of years, right?
Yeah.
So, and then certainly, when we have the examples of truly heinous stuff that happens just right here in our own backyards, it is easy to point fingers and be like, the kid that went in and shot up a school, or the kid that bullied and murdered another kid, or anything like that. The guy that's a serial killer, somebody that does horrible things to women or children or something like that. It is very easy to sit there and be like, that's an evil MFer, fry him, right? But I think we do need to take a look as a society about how does trauma breed more trauma.
Yeah.
How does
It's usually generational.
Yes,
like every one of those
and
people you think
even
about, they had fucked up parents, or something really fucked up happened to them.
Something. Yeah. I mean, speaking from a position of somebody that went through traumatic stuff at a young age, and I'm certainly not alone in that, and I'm certainly not the worst. I've heard way worse stories of even stuff that I've had to go through. So, but seeing how that kind of stuff affects somebody long term, is certainly it points to what we could define as evil, in a person's heart and a person's soul. So yeah, man, it's a tricky one, but I do believe in good. I believe in the evil part of it. I like what Bill said. It's a lot easier for me to see the evil stuff in it than it is for me to see the good, but I do have to trust that there is good out there, and that that's hopefully a marker that I should strive towards and want to be for myself. And definitely, just one last quick thing is, it is very powerful to watch stuff like that where you have someone who has, a daughter or a son or a loved one that's been an innocent victim of a horrible crime or a horrible event, and then you watch them forgive another person. To me, man, like, that is the ultimate showcase of strength, strength and love and just everything that good is, to be able to do that. Cause I can't sit here and say that I would be able to do that. Certainly not easily, but I don't know if at all, and I try to put love in my heart every day, but so yeah, definitely. I thought a very good thought-provoking topic. I really like, I had to say.
If you guys don't mind, I'd and she doesn't mind, I'd like to have producer Janine. You don't have to show your video if you don't want, Janine, but we'd like to give you a couple minutes to speak on this if you want. You don't have to, but you're the odd duck out in terms of you're not in recovery and we all share similar experiences. I think the listeners, not just us, the listeners would like to hear from you, Janine.
Well, that's a thank you for inviting me on your show. I think that's a loaded
First time,
question.
long time. No, sorry.
Yeah, it's loaded because my mom was killed by a drunk driver, and it kind of shaped my life to where I was stripped from a parent at such a young age. And so I'm not going to lie, there are times when I really thought of going to this guy's house and probably not doing the best thing possible over the years. And then I made the mistake a couple of years ago. I looked him up on Facebook, and he lives in Palm Beach Gardens. So he literally lives 30 minutes from me. And I'm looking at his Facebook page, and he has pictures of his daughter and all kinds of stuff. And then I thought, it must be hard for him knowing what he did, but I never really got an apology. So it's kind of like I never felt like I had closure from that part. But I go back and forth. I mean, I can't have friends in my life that are active alcoholics because it's a trigger for me. Big time. I can't be around it at all. I'm usually designated driver, or I'm really weird about that.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone has a different story, but until it happens to you, until your family and your loved one is stripped away from you, you don't know what it's like until you're in their shoes. And it's tragic. It's just shaped the course of my life. It's just been,
Yeah.
But that, I guess, do I forgive him? Yes. Do I wish him harm? Absolutely not. Do I wish that he would be man enough after all these years to reach out to me and apologize and be a man about it? Yes. Do I think he's a coward? He's probably fearful, but I don't even know if that's ever crossed his mind. I'd like to have a conversation with him one day about it. I don't know.
Thank you. I don't.
Real and raw.
Yeah, that was. Thank you, and very sorry if we sprung that on you, but I appreciate your honesty, and I know a little bit about that history with you. I also don't think that you wanting to go over there and not do nice things to him, I don't think that makes you an evil person by any means. I think that's a pretty normal thing for someone to feel, especially at a young age. But that is a prime example of like that victim offender dialogue, like I was just talking about. And I've seen it happen. There's a lot of movements in our country with it, but to your point, Janine, you'd like to almost really just have a conversation with the guy. Yes, you want him to apologize and all that, but if I heard that correctly, some kind of dialogue would, at least in the moment, would you feel like that would help?
Yeah, I mean, I think that in his mind, maybe he thinks I hate him. Right. I mean, I've forgiven him for doing that, but for me to forgive 100% and move on, I feel like there's things on his end that are left unsaid that he needs to be a man and step up.
Yeah.
Well, that's why, and we talk about it a lot in our recovery groups and stuff about making amends. How when we make amends, it frees us, but we don't know that might free the other person involved. We don't know what that's going to do for the other person, and that's probably one of those cases. That's why we do those things.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
I'm glad that Janine listens to us, by the way. When you called her to carpet just now, I'm like, what if she's in the other room? Just are these guys freaking done yet? Janine, thank you.
You're welcome. I am an active listener in your show.
See?
Sweet.
And whatever his name was, if you're listening to this podcast right now, reach out to Stella Mix. So
There you go.
all right, let's wrap this up with our spiritual reading and a breakdown. Bill, whenever you're ready, if you want to go, it's Bill's turn to bring it. It's short and sweet. It's a really good one. So go ahead, Bill, and it'll be for all of you listening to this. If you want to check out the viewing platform, it will be flashed up on our screen right around now or in the next few seconds of this episode when you're listening or when you're watching it.
All right. So yeah, reading for the week. Maybe the journey isn't about becoming anything. Maybe it's about unbecoming everything that isn't really you, so you can become who you were meant to be in the first place. And that.
Do me a favor, read it one more time, just because it's so short and sweet. Just do it one more time.
Yeah, maybe the journey isn't about becoming anything. Maybe it's about unbecoming everything that isn't really you, so you can become who you were meant to be in the first place. And I found that my biggest gains in life, my biggest gains in my journey have always been able when I've walked through fear. Whenever I've been at that point, I've held on to something tight. I've not wanted to change it. I always thought it was me and I can control it. And those big obstacles in my life, whether it was addiction or toxic people or the way I looked at work, the way I looked at friends, or the level of morals I wanted to have in my life, I've held on to those things to a point of pain. But then once these things unravel, because you get to the great persuader, which is more pain, you begin to let go. And for me specifically, God's always given me this unique path of like, dude, you know the message, you know what you need to do. I'm just going to laugh at you until you do it. You know what I mean? And sure enough, if I were to try to pray during those times, hey, help me out with this. I already told you, bro. I already told you what you need to do. And on the flip side of that, whenever I fully make that decision, I've felt my favorite saying ever, Sean, when the caterpillar thought its life was over, it then became a butterfly. Yeah, got its wings, dude. Red Bull style. And yeah, I love it, dude. I think that pain is the touchstone of all growth. So for me, I smile in the moments of pain these days, and they're freaking brutal sometimes, but I know I'm growing.
Yeah. Amen to that. Amen to that. Thank you, Bill.
Yep.
I think something I used to hear a lot early on in recovery was like, it must be like hard to get, sober at such a young age and And like, I used to think like, no, I feel like it would be way harder at an older age because those behaviors and those belief system and mindset is so much more ingrained in me. I've been living a certain way for so much longer. It was almost, I don't say it definitely wasn't easy to get sober. And I don't mean that to anyone our age that's struggling to stay sober or get sober, but in a way, maybe not the physical, maybe we're talking more emotional sobriety, but in a way, like I haven't been living that selfish, self-centered, resentful lifestyle maybe as long as someone who was 20 years older than me trying to get sober. So that was always something I thought about. And when the reading, great reading, by the way, but the whole idea of it's not a recovery program is not a program of addition. It's a program of subtraction, right? We are unbecoming. What did it say? I have it right here. Unbecoming everything that isn't really you. That just reminds me of like that whole, it's a program of subtraction, not addition, right? I'm not trying to add a whole bunch of stuff in my life. I am trying to get rid of, to subtract the self-centeredness, the selfishness, the resentment, the fear, the inconsideration, insert any other negative adjective you want, right? I'm trying to get rid of those things so that the God inside of me, right? The light, capital L, can really shine through and be that light, upon the world. So I don't know. It's a cool little reading that Bill picked, and I appreciate him. And Corey, you want to go next?
Yeah, you stole everything I was going to say. So I'll second
Sorry.
all that.
Sorry, dude.
No, I went to the same place with the whole it's a program of subtraction.
Shout out to Brian Beatty.
Yeah. It's about creating an environment, getting rid of.
And for all you posers that didn't really know him, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Yeah, have another memorial. Anyway, God. Sorry. See,
Love you all.
I'm not unbecoming the things that I'm not. Yeah, so yeah, you went exactly where I was going to go with it. It's really about one, identifying all of those things. We've talked about it 100 times. Identifying all of those things like the selfishness and the dishonesty and the fears and whatever. And going through the process to get those removed. And that creates an environment where God can grow you, basically.
Yep.
Like I think you've made the analogy before about it like kind of being like a garden. Like we weed out the bad weeds and stuff, so that way the sunshine and the water can do its job and grow the good stuff, the crops, the whatever you're growing, I guess. But
Marijuana.
yeah, the weed. There's nothing wrong with weed. Just can't smoke it anymore. That's all. Let's be honest. Side note, did anybody else absolutely lose interest in weed once they like got some good stuff? Like,
yeah.
Oh
dude.
my God.
Yeah.
I was so done with weed by like 14 years old.
There was a period where I did, but then I always had a love for it. I always had a love, and it was almost.
Oh, me too.
It was almost more of the process of getting it ready to smoke, like whatever I was doing, rolling it, like grinding it out. It was almost like, but I digress.
Yeah,
guys,
it's funny.
Corey, we'll talk about Amendment 3. We'll talk about that offline, Amendment 3.
I mean, yeah.
Offline, I'm kidding. I'm joking.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think that's pretty much it, man.
I'm sorry, Corey. We can't do that to you when you're trying to make a point.
We just totally threw him off.
You can't do that. That's literally everything. Yeah, I don't know. Weed. Marijuana.
Smoke it if you got them.
Yeah.
Well, let's go, Greg. Go ahead. Give us your take on it, and then if anything comes back to you,
yeah,
I'll just shut up.
For sure. I love you, Corey. Thank you. I do love this quote. I think it's fitting that it kind of flows right from for a show that doesn't transition very well. I feel like this was a very fitting transition for what we just spoke about. But I think contrary to what a lot of people believe, the journey of self-discovery and personal growth isn't a linear path to become something entirely new. Right. The personal transformation and self-realization, the essence of all that, to me, what the quote reminds me is that we're not blank slates, just waiting to be filled. Right. Instead, we're like the rock that the sculptor is chipping away at, So, for me, it's not a process of erasing my history or denying my past or whatever. It's about shedding that stuff to become my true self. And hopefully that guy, I know some days more than others, but hopefully that guy is someone that seeks to do good every day, somebody that's honest, that's hard work without the thought of what he will receive in return. And those kind of things that I want for myself, that I want my authentic self when I sit and I'm quiet with my higher power, and I'm quiet in my own head, and I focus on who I am as a human being. Those are the qualities that I want to shine through. So yeah, but I love the quote. But yeah, great choice. I got a contact high from Corey, so
yeah.
I literally don't think I've smoked weed since I was like 17, which was 2 years.
So like 3 years ago.
2 years ago. I that question we always get, and we'll transition with a little bit of humor and just kind of levity, I guess. You know that question we always get like from newer people in recovery, like, oh, like you don't do you think about drinking? Do you think about using drugs and stuff? Like I can honestly truly say that I'm recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. I don't think about like getting high on heroin anymore. I don't think about Xanax. I don't what I do think about from time to time, and it's not like a real thought, it's just kind of like funny, but I'm like, yo, if I could wake up tomorrow and I could take like a huge bong rip, I think I could be stoned for like a full 72 hours. Like I'm talking about like that milky, like chalk it up, get it super milky and just fucking rip it. I could probably be stoned for like 3 full days just because it's been that long, you know? And I say that as a joke mostly.
You don't even have to do that anymore. You just eat a brownie. Eat a brownie, dude. You'll be
but
loaded.
again,
all
it's
sorts of
the
weird shit
process
now.
of it, dude. It's the
yeah, no,
process
I know.
of it.
I get it.
I
But
want nothing to do with today's weed game. It is so watered down. It's not even funny. Oh, I can order my joints now on Amazon or some shit. That sucks.
Oh, now I know which way you voted on Amendment 3.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
There it is. No, I'll have to get the permission to tell the story on here, and certainly on another episode where we need a funny anecdote. But I do have a great story about the time my mom and her husband found my jar of weed butter and the weekend that ensued as a result of that.
They didn't
tuned.
know.
I got to get Suzanne's permission to tell that story.
They didn't know it was weed butter, did they?
I think they had an idea, but I think they thought that they were going to relive their teenage years and didn't know any clue as to how potent that was.
Nice.
And yeah, it was a wild weekend.
Nice.
So yeah, I got, like I said, I got to get permission to tell that story. But
I had a friend growing up. His girlfriend just always made weed baked goods, everything, butters, pies, cakes, just always, man. She was great. She was great. I'll never forget the time I found weed in the home of my mom's best friend. My mom's best friend, this lady that I've known for all my life, she was like a second mom to me, had no idea. We were there for Thanksgiving. I don't remember what happened, but I had already gotten into some trouble. My mom had already caught me getting high at the house. I forget exactly what happened, but I was basically grounded. This is when she grounded me till I was like 35 years old, you know, and we were in Virginia, we were at my mom's best friend's house for Thanksgiving, and they all went out to like go to some festival or some outing that day, and they wouldn't let me come. So like they just made me stay at home. I'm probably like 15. Like they just made me stay at the house by myself, my mom's best friend's house. And like all I remember was ordering porn on the TV on their account. And I don't even know if I watched it. It was just like, F you, I'm going to order a movie and porn and all that stuff. And then I like was doing what a little pre-criminal at 15 years old does. I'm just like ransacking their house looking for stuff. And I find weed in their bathroom. And didn't know they smoked. And it was like this thing like, oh, I'm going to totally hold this over their head and get some leverage back and all this stuff. And I stole a bunch of it and smoked it, you know, but never forget that.
What'd they say about the porn though?
Oh, dude, I don't even remember.
That was probably more egregious than the weed, I would think.
Yeah.
I got in so much trouble for that, that was like when I really started getting into trouble. That was kind of like the beginning of all of it. And there was way worse stuff that I did, you know, in the next year or two. But I think I held that, like, I think I totally held that and like laid that on my mom at the, like, what I thought was the appropriate time, which ultimately didn't get me anything in return that I thought it would. But I had to make amends to her, my mom's best friend, years and years later, and she totally forgave me. So, because I stole some money, there was I did that whole thing. There was like money, and I think there was like a quarter collection that was worth something and all that. So, I think that's a show, guys.
Yeah, it is.
I think that's a show.
It was a good one.
Bill, that was a great show. Organic, neutral. That was a great question, Greg. It really, really, maybe we should do more stuff like that. But maybe we shouldn't tell anybody because that was the beauty of it. It was just kind of sprung on all of us. Bill sends his regards. His daughter woke up and she wasn't feeling well, so he did the reading and shared and kind of slid off. So shouts to Avia. We hope she feels better. And Janine, thank you again for being vulnerable and sharing some of that stuff. And to you guys, I love you guys. And we'll do this again next week. Oh, guys, next week we have a guest. We have a first guest coming on the show.
Yes.
It's a good friend of ours here locally, and it should be good. I'm excited to have it. And so please tune in next week. So with that, shouts to our listeners. Shouts to our listeners. Please like, follow, and share on all socials. You'd think I'd have this memorized by now. At Trudge Report Pod, email us, trudgereportpod@yahoo.com. Send mailbag requests for topics, questions, and comments to any of these handles. Remember, we are all here if anyone wants to talk about recovery, our experiences, or if you're struggling with some form of addiction. Thank you again, as always, to Janine and Stella Mix Podcast Management. Good night, God bless, and may you trudge the road of happy destiny. We will see you next week.